Welcome back to another Techtorial. Today is August 11th, 2023. We're going to look at deploying a ThousandEyes endpoint agent inside of a Webex RoomOS and looking at some Control Hub integrations along the way. We're going to break this video out into three sections. First, we're going to create an API communication channel from Webex Control Hub to ThousandEyes using our bearer token. Second, we'll add a new RoomOS device in Control Hub and install a ThousandEyes endpoint agent on our new compatible Cisco Webex Desk Pro. And third, we'll create an automated session test to automatically monitor the performance of our calls on that Desk Pro. What we're going to need in this video is a bearer token that we'll walk through the creation of. We will need Webex Control Hub administration privileges, and then again a compatible RoomOS enabled device. So let's launch into the ThousandEyes dashboard and go ahead and create our bearer token. If you've not done so already, that can be found underneath our account settings, users and roles, and under your profile, you'll see an OAuth bearer token that we can go ahead and generate. So let's do that now. Go ahead and copy this down, store it in a safe place. We can always regenerate these as needed, however. Let's go ahead and navigate over to Webex Control Hub. And once we're in the overview page, to add our bearer token, we do that underneath the organization settings. So we scroll to organization settings here on the left. Open that up. We could do Control F for ThousandEyes. You could also search for it up here. You can see, I'm just going to scroll down. It's about halfway down the page where you see a new ThousandEyes section, integration for troubleshooting. We'll say we're going to allow the ThousandEyes API access. We add our bearer token, and it validates. Now that we've created the API integration, we'll actually be able to see ThousandEyes data inside of our meetings when we're troubleshooting with something called network path. We'll take a peek back at that here in a little bit. Section 2 of this video, we wanted to go ahead and add a new user or a Desk Pro to Webex Control Hub. In order to do that, we're going to go to our Devices panel. We're going to click Add Device. We'll say it's for personal usage. Next. And I'm going to add myself here. So we'll click Next. It generates a passcode for me. I'm going to go ahead and enter that on my Desk Pro now. I've just got a configuration success on the Desk Pro. Let's go ahead and refresh. And you see my Desk Pro's talking in now. The next step, now that we've got our Desk Pro reporting into Control Hub, is to go ahead and enable ThousandEyes on the Desk Pro. In order to do that, we're going to use what's called a ThousandEyes endpoint agent. But to get that to report back into the correct dashboard, we're going to use what's called a connection string. So to pull that connection string, we're going to go back to ThousandEyes, go over to our endpoint agents in our agent settings. Under agent settings, there's a blue button over here on the right. It says add new endpoint agent. So if we click that, our connection string becomes available. So we'll copy our connection string, move back to Control Hub, and then under the devices page, there is a settings. If we scroll down in settings, there's another section for ThousandEyes. So we can enable the ThousandEyes agent here. And what this gives us the ability to do is either turn it on globally or on a per device basis. If we wanted to turn it on globally, we just add the connection string here. So I would punch that in and click save. But if I wanted to add it on a per device basis, I can go back to my devices, open the device, and I've got my all configurations page right here. So if I open all configurations, search for ThousandEyes, I can go in and add my connection string, click next, and apply. Next, let's go back to ThousandEyes and verify that the ThousandEyes agent was able to be deployed. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh my page. And you can see it just reported in right now. There's two things that I want to call out here. This is our first iteration of Linux support. So you can actually see the little penguin here for Linux. And then we also see our TCP driver. So we are able to support TCP-based testing on the Desk Pro. Now this would inherently just pull in any of the tests that we've already got created, depending on what their settings are and the labels that this inherits. But what we'll do is we'll actually go ahead and move on to phase 3 of this video, which is creating what we call an automated session test. Automated session tests are unique in that they give us the ability to look at the connection stack of the workstation or the video unit and look at real-time connection statistics of that to a given meeting, to a Webex meeting. Let's go ahead and create a RoomOS specific test. In order to do that, what we're going to do is set it up initially so that any new devices that come online automatically inherit that. To do that, we'll go to Agent Labels and we'll add a new label. We'll call this RoomOS. Our filter in this case is going to be Platform. And we'll say Linux. Now, anytime a new RoomOS enabled device comes online, it will inherit the RoomOS label. The next step will be to go into monitoring settings, automated session tests, and we're going to create a new test and call this Webex RoomOS. Target application again is Webex. The protocol will leave set to auto detect. And the agents themselves, we will say agent labels, RoomOS. The final piece is just to click add new test. Now, anytime my RoomKit joins a Webex meeting, it will automatically start testing to the Webex media node that it is actually connected to. This will expose things like loss, latency, and jitter into the Webex network, and it will show that full end-to-end service delivery path of what's going on. Earlier in section 1 of the video, we created and copied an API bearer token from ThousandEyes and applied that to the organization settings here in Control Hub. That established a communication channel from Control Hub to ThousandEyes, allowing us to pull that automated session data into Control Hub. So what does that look like? Underneath troubleshooting here in Control Hub, if we were to go search a live meeting, a past meeting, what have you, we wanted to look at that analytical data, we just need to go take a look at a user. So I'll search JC at cisco.com and we'll pull up a meeting that JC was a part of. So if I enter into that meeting, we get some immediate color-coded information about the quality of that meeting. So you can see green, obviously good. You can see when I was sharing my screen in here, what we now have the ability to do with ThousandEyes data is actually click into a user and expose out some additional analytics here. Previously, without ThousandEyes data, we were able to see things like packet loss on the audio quality, things like packet loss on the video quality, right? Get a good indication of what the health of that was. What ThousandEyes allows us to do now is it integrates this brand new network path functionality inside a Control Hub. That gives us the ability to come back here and expose out the full end-to-end service delivery path from a RoomOS device, from a workstation on a Webex meeting, all the way across your local network into the Webex network to the specific media node that we're connected to. So let's explore that. So we see here, we're looking at the RoomOS device, the client device here. I've got my host name, IP information. If I hover over here, I can see that I'm actually connected via Ethernet into the private network where I'm looking at my local information, the latency to my default gateway, private network, all the way across the transit networks into Webex's network, ultimately over to the specific media node that I connected to. In this specific instance, I'm connected to San Jose, California, and we confirm that by looking at our media node over here, saying that, yeah, it was indeed connected to San Jose. Everything in this specific call looked good, but in the event that it did not go maybe as planned, we would be able to expose out the why and the where with this additional data. What's more is we have the ability to launch into ThousandEyes to go deeper in that sort of investigative response. So I can cross launch here and expose out the same data that we saw in Control Hub, just in a different graphical format. With that, hopefully you can see how easy it is to bind Webex Control Hub and ThousandEyes together, deploy ThousandEyes endpoint agents across the entirety of your RoomOS footprint, and gain a much deeper analytical view and understanding of that full service delivery path from endpoint all the way into the Webex cloud.